So, who are the Horrorcons? Simply, the dastardly Decepticons, Apeface and Snapdragon. Both are clearly overachievers, being simultaneously headmasters and triple changers. But where does the horror come in? Well, my friends, it comes from their terrifying, blood-curdling beast modes. Are you scared? Right, come on, don't laugh at them, you'll upset them. Outside of the Dinobots, these fellas have always been my favourite beast formers, even though I've always found them more hilarious than horrific. The Horrorcons were first introduced in 1987 with the other headmasters. Apeface and Snapdragon stood out from your Skull Crunchers and Weirdwolves by having not only beast modes, but a whole extra transformation into sweet space fighter jets. Surprisingly for Transformers toys with multiple alt modes, Apeface and Snapdragon's toys were quite convincing in all three forms. A real rarity at the time. Just look at the mess that was G1 Quick Switch.
Oh god, what am I?
Apeface and Snapdragon both appeared in the three-part finale of the G1 cartoon, The Rebirth. They were among the Decepticons sent to retrieve the key to the plasma energy chamber from the Autobots who had crash-landed on the planet Nebulos. What followed was somewhat of a drubbing for the poor Autobots, as they were thoroughly trounced by the Decepticons. Some Autobots were even abducted, including Crosshairs, who was hilariously snaffled up by Mindwipe like a seagull would snaffle a discarded Greg's sausage roll. Most notably though, Snapdragon broke Daniel Witwicky's spine in an absolutely savage attack, leaving the poor child paralysed and in need of life support. Whilst I would never glorify violence towards a child, Daniel clearly deserved it. He was always the second most annoying member of the cast, wasn't he? Daniel and Wheelie were like a young Anakin Skywalker and Jar Jar Binks from the Phantom Menace. I only wish that Apeface could have also ripped Wheelie apart, just like that monkey who ate that lady's face. I hate you, Wheelie, you orange rhyming fuck. Anyway, to fight back at the Decepticons, the Autobots decided to team up with the local Nebulans. The Autobots offered their heads to the Nebulans, who would then live inside them, like a wee pilot, and could assist in the battlefield by operating the Autobots' weapons and that. The Autobots' heads even transformed into wee exosuits for the Nebulans, so they could cut about in nice wee robot outfits and drive the Autobots' alt modes. RC also kindly donated her head to poor Daniel in a move that must have acted as a severe cock block to Springer. Well, if the Autobots have something, then bitch, the Decepticons got to have it too. After getting beaten up by the Autobot headmasters, the Decepticons met up with local Nebulan dictator Lord Zarek and became headmasters and target masters themselves, bonding with the despot's Nebulan cronies. This included our gruesome twosome, Apeface and Snapdragon, who partnered with the awesomely named Nebulans, Spasma and Krunk. These fellas were bloated and mobile and meant to be on Lord Zarek's corrupt war council, so you'd really expect them to have grander, more pompous names. Maybe like Admiral Percy Badfella or Brigadier Timothy Naughty Sausage. Instead, their names sound like something you'd call the local junkies who sniff glue behind the bins at Aldi.
There's Mad Spasma trying to hoover up a puddle. Look at that crunk, he's hanging off a lamppost.
I'm not sure if I'm into the whole idea of a wee fella just living in my head. How do the Nebulans eat? How do they poop? Were facilities built into the Autobots' heads with working plumbing? Did the Nebulans just go back to Cybertron with the Autobots? What do they both do during downtime? Who chooses what to watch on Cybertronian Netflix? The whole thing kind of reminds me of the fish that has the parasite for a tongue. Perhaps it's best just to not overthink it. So shall we have a look at some toys? Let's start with Siege Apeface. Robot mode is looking awesome at first glance, The colour palette of black, purple, red and white is quintessential Decepticon. There's something off about this white though. Wait a minute, what the hell is this crap? Apeface is made of the weirdest plastic I've ever encountered in a Transformer. It's soft, very flexible, and almost transparent in places. It's weirdly like a used bar of soap. I'm not a fan. There's loads of detail in the sculpt that's lost because of this stuff. Very, very strange. There's also your typical shite siege battle damage going on here. It's not the most egregious example, but you really do notice it in Apeface's weirdly positioned nose cone. It looks a bit strange, doesn't it? This looks like what I would imagine would pop out of Chewbacca's downstairs area when he's excited. It doesn't like to tab in very well either. A bit pish, really. I don't want to sound too negative on Apeface's robot mode. I actually kind of love it. His big goonish proportions are quite delightful, with these big thick calves and broad chest. The colours, apart from that awful white, really pop. I especially love this tone of regal purple. Spasma becomes a wonderful little head as well. It's just a perfect wee Decepticon face, like a purple soundwave. Articulation is pretty standard for the excellent siege line, so Apeface has no bother cutting some sweet poses. Apeface's robot mode would have been awesome if it weren't for the plastic choice and the siege scratches. I'd love to see a reissue of this fella where this was addressed. Knowing Hasbro, he'd probably only be available in a 20-pack with some other shite bots you really don't want or already have. I'm still seething about the whole Hound thing, if you can't tell. Transformation into Apeface's jet mode is weird. Again, it's down to that soapy white plastic. Everything feels so bendy and malleable. It's quite difficult to get everything pegged into place. When you're done, you're left with this. Oh dear. It's a bit shite, isn't it? It's just a brick with tiny wings and a nose cone. I'm missing Apeface's shield accessory that's meant to plug in on top of the jet, but I really don't think that would make much of a difference. It'd just be like putting a nice pretty bow on a lump of shite. On the plus side, I love how the ape head fits under the nose cone. This looks like a goblin shark. I love those weird horrific things. Spasma also has a nice wee compartment in the back to have a sit down. I quite like plugging Apeface's gun into where the shield was meant to go, so it looks like Spasma is operating a wee artillery turret. Listen, I'm a 42-year-old man who doesn't drink. This is how I entertain myself. I need something to temporarily stave off the inescapable terror of inevitable death. Don't you judge me. Transformation into ape mode is simple enough, although getting the white plastic to tab in again is painful. But just look at this. What a beast mode. He's adorable. Look at his stupid face. Look at these long monkey arms. Look at these tiny wee legs. So cute. All the issues with the plastic, the siege damage, and the shite jet mode are instantly forgiven. As you know, I'm a huge fan of stupid, so Apeface has really warmed the cockles of my cold, dead heart. Because Apeface's monkey hands have been moulded like hooks, you can make him dangle off stuff, like a real monkey. That's hours of fun right there. Spasma plugs into the ape's jaws to form the dome of the mechanical monkey's head, completing this heavenly visage. Even with the jet mode kibble hanging off of Apeface's back, I'm absolutely smitten with this simple simian. Absolutely top drawer, mate. Top drawer. Shall we move on to Snapdragon? Robot mode is looking pretty awesome. Thankfully, the plastic in Snapdragon is your standard quality Hasbro stuff. Snapdragon has pretty much the same colour palette as Apeface, with the purple, white and black, but there's a couple of bits picked out in cyan that really pop. Our boy is chunky. He's built like Bane from the best Batman movie, Batman and Robin. Oh, I love you, George. Snapdragon's head sculpt is pretty awesome. He really reminds me of Shredder from the Turtles, with this purple face mask and pointy helmet. Articulation in Snapdragon is decent, but his arms won't bend any more forward than this. They bend backwards low due to his beast mode, so you can pretend Galvatron broke his arm in one of his mad rages, because someone got my slightly wrong coffee from Starbucks or something. Man, I love Mad Galvatron. Transformation into jet mode is pretty simple stuff, but it's quite effective. What a step up from Apeface. This is a lovely jet. The shape reminds me of the Naboo Royal Shuttle thing from the Phantom Menace. Why have I got the Phantom Menace stuck in my head today? There's loads of nice wee details going on. There's even paint in the cockpit for Crunk's wee controls and that. Getting the cockpit opened is a bit of a hard one. I'm terrified that this clear yellow plastic will shatter into a million pieces. It feels really brittle and thin, like it's made from Jolly Ranchers. Despite this, the plastic has surprisingly managed to hold together so far, like Captain Jean-Luc Picard's mind at the end of Chain of Command.
There are 4 lights.
Transformation into dragon mode is fun. Look, the dragon head has been hiding in Snapdragon's chest this whole time. The finished product is is certainly something. It's so stupid. Look at these piddly wee prehensile arms. Oh, they're not good for much, are they, buddy? Crunk plugs in underneath the dragon's mouth to become the lower jaw. He doesn't sit that well, and he makes the dragon head look quite derpy as a result. I'm not complaining, I love it. Cleverly, Crunk's arms fill in the dragon's empty eye sockets, making them a lovely pinky red. Anyone else think it's weird that Crunk's legs become the lower jaw? Not only would you suffer the indignity of being eaten, but you'd also be rubbing up right next to Crunk's junk. I really love this mode. It's blatantly just a spaceship turned upside down, but that just adds to the charm. The dragon has a decent range of articulation as well, so you can really go wild recreating that scene where he paralysed a child, you absolute monster. So, should you seek out Apeface and Snapdragon? Yes, you should. This terrible twosome are a fine addition to your Decepticon ranks, whether they be in robot or beast mode. The less said about Apeface's jet mode the better. Let's be honest though, despite how good they both look in robot mode, you need to display them in their beast modes. Every time I walk by my display and see these wonderfully stupid creatures, I can't help but smile. That's what this collecting game is about after all. That intoxicating sense of nostalgia, a delicious hit of dopamine, and being reminded of simpler times. It really helps you forget that we're all just naked, scared, stupid apes floating through space on a ball of mud, desperate to find some meaning in the meaninglessness absurdity of infinite time and space. Thanks to the Horrorcons, you can at least get a wee chuckle for a minute or two and stave off that urge to shout hopelessly at the sky, pleading for something to answer you and explain why you were plucked into this fetid reality from the blissful ignorance of non-existence. So thank you for your services to goofiness, Apeface and Snapdragon. It's much appreciated. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Catch you later.
Like, subscribe, and tell your da. Like, subscribe, and tell your da. Like, subscribe, and tell your da.